Yo, but what up, world? It's a great day. Great day to be alive today. Here's your boy Ray. I come from Ray's podcast. But today we're doing something special. We're going to got football season beyond the horizon that's coming. Let's get ready to start.
Right.
So we're going to start doing these things called crosstalk. We've got a bunch of other content creators that do things, especially for our beloved Dallas Cowboys. So I'm going to introduce everyone one by one in just a moment. But again, remember, when you listen to me, you got to have that positive words, all right? Just remember you're beautiful, you're loved, you're needed, you're alive for a reason. Hey, you're stronger than you think, all right? Whatever it is you're going through, you're going to get through this situation. See, here on my show, Ray's podcast, we're all glad that you're alive. And most importantly, don't give up, because when you keep those words in your mind, tough situations pull up, you can go back to that, I am who I am. I can do what I say I can do. Bet.
Okay, let's get it.
100. All right, so let's get into it. Let's run down this roster, this lineup of people we've got.
All-star cast.
All-star
cast.
You can call me Nick Fury, and I'm trying to assemble the Avengers right now.
If you Nick Fury, then I'm Iron Man.
So let's start off with Iron Man here, man. Man, he's the host of the Dak Attack podcast. You can find him on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, where he be going ham on people.
Everyone, chill out, bro. Come on, man. They deserve it. They deserve it.
All right.
Yeah.
Everybody give a warm round of applause for my boy Dak Attack.
Dak Attack. Yeah. Here we go.
I like that.
All right. And please forgive me. I was not a gentleman. I should have been more of a gentleman. Over to my far right, we have the lady Jazz. You may have seen her on our our NFL draft coverage we did. She popped in, gave some fire analysis and takes. Everyone give the warm welcome to Jazz. She's the host of the BLS podcast. You want to know what that is? I guess you message her to tell her what it is, all right? Everyone give a round of applause for Jazz right there.
If Ray is Nick Fury, then I'm Black Widow.
Oh, wow. I like it. Wow. We already know who Law is, then.
Okay. Now batting cleanup, as they would say in baseball. The home run hitter, all right? Y'all know this guy. You see him on here all the time. A bunch of stuff we do. Give it up for my dog, my player partner in here. That boy, the one and only Law Nation. What's up, baby boy? How we doing?
Let's go, baby.
Captain America. Captain America.
Yeah. Crosstalk Cowboys, huh?
Crosstalk Cowboys.
I done said so much I got spit coming out of my mouth, man.
That's how you know it's good.
That's how you know it's good. Pause if necessary.
It was necessary. It was necessary.
Okay. Hey, but before we move any forward, we get into this. We're gonna be talking about a bunch of hot topics. Getting ready for training camp, getting ready for the NFL season. We gotta give some condolences out there. We lost some people out in the sports world. Monty Kiffin, I apologize.
Monty.
Former defensive coordinator and a defensive assistant here for the Dallas Cowboys. Jacoby Jones, Super Bowl champion. Jelly Bean Bryant, Kobe Bryant's dad. So we would like to send our condolences to all their friends and families. Send prayers up to their family, get them through those tough situations right now. All right. So you guys ready for this?
Are y'all ready?
Let's get it.
They're ready for they're out there. Are y'all ready?
Are y'all ready?
All right. So this is something we're going to be bringing to y'all. We're going to be swapping out creators here and there. Like I said, we going to build this thing. It's going to be the Avengers, people coming together. I know they always say they have that there's stigmatism out there that old people in Dallas don't work together, content creators don't work out together. But we're here to break that what is that word? That stereotype. We're bringing that examples.
We all together.
We all together. And if you out there, you got something you trying to create with us, reach out to us. We see what you got.
Come on down.
We'll do something. Or if you want to debate us, come on down. Speaking of debate, Skip Bayless. I got a seat for you. I heard Hey, goodbye.
Thank you so much, bro.
Let's go.
Thank you, bro.
If you need somebody to debate Skip Bayless, I'll gladly dog walk your ass anytime you want that. All right, you want that smoke? We got the smoke for you here. All right,
y'all. The Cowboys community is finally healing itself a little bit.
Fred Lash,
healing itself.
Thank God Almighty, we Fred Lash.
I think if you look at his rotation that he recently had on Undisputed, you know, he's not really up for debate.
That had Yellow Beezy and Lil Wayne on there.
Right.
Yeah.
And Yellow Beezy, I like your music. Yeah, I like your music, Yellow Beezy. But
shout out to Paul Pierce. Hey, say, look at this nigga.
I ain't never seen you put no pads on, Yellow Beezy. So I mean,
yeah. And Yellow Beezy, you're a good friend of the show, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Shout out,
appreciate you.
Shout out.
That's on me, baby. Got them diamonds on me.
That's on Skip now.
Skip.
Yeah, that whole years of Skip Bayless went from Stephen A. Smith down to Shay Sharp, and now he's on the couch. You know, that's crazy.
No, seriously, am I the only person that felt like extremely misrepresented by Skip Bayless as a Cowboy?
He wasn't the true voice of Cowboys.
He was not.
Right.
I can't even say what he represented recently because when the whole mute Skip Bayless thing happened on Twitter, I literally muted Skip Bayless.
Oh, you muted him all the way.
Yeah, I've barely paid attention to him.
I done had that man muted for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Lord.
So I don't know what he was representing. I saw a few clips every now and then, but I think it was time for him to go.
It's just that time.
I mean, I think it was past time, especially when you sabotage your own host and say something like, "Oh, you're just mad. Tom Brady's better than you." Like, whoa, that's way out of pocket. That was uncalled for and unnecessary.
Yeah.
Their ratings fell off tremendously after that.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that FS1 doesn't even have anything to follow this up with speaks volumes.
Well, if you need something, we got something for y'all here. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, we're just throwing it out there, you know.
Apparently they're planning
100% creative freedom, though.
Yeah.
They're planning to extend Speak and what's the other one?
First Things First.
Yeah, they're planning to expand Speak and First Things First by 30 minutes each. So that says, okay, we're letting you go, and we don't even have anything to replace you. We're just that ready.
And who
to
needs
let
30
you go.
more minutes of C. Turtle McCoy and Booby Taylor?
Nobody.
Oh my God.
Nobody needs 30 more minutes of
Wait
that.
a minute. You said
It's like, run that back.
Jugs McGee.
Judge McGee. See, that's Dak Attack in his natural form.
Come on, man.
Indeed. You know, y'all better watch out. Y'all better watch out.
All right, so let's get into this, man. You know, let's talk about the sports. Is what they came here for. We're gonna talk about the sports. We spent too much time on Skip Bayless. Sayonara. All right, so let's talk about the hot topic that's been going on all across social media, all across TV.
Oh, don't.
That is the one, the only Dakota Rain Prescott.
Yeah.
Okay. List came out. There's been a couple of lists come out. Currently, he's ranked number 3.
Had to side eye her. She said some crazy stuff when we started recording, but we'll get there in a second. We'll get there in a second, man.
So the list for ESPN, they have him as a number 10 overall quarterback, number 3 in the NFC. And the NFC, they have Matthew Stafford ranked above him and Jared Goff.
Stop it.
Okay?
Stop it.
Wow.
Stop it. Both of them. Stop it. What are we talking about? Harry Douglas had it right, by the way.
Yes, he was. And if you're not familiar with it, Harry Douglas, he came out on ESPN. He said, I think Dak is the best quarterback in the NFC. Then they tried to flip the narrative, flip the question, like, well, you know,
the postseason. Yeah, the postseason.
Oh, well, the postseason.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Honestly, he was a game away from being the MVP.
Well, the
NFL.
postseason is a misnomer as well, because if you really go back and look at it, the other dudes besides Patrick, anybody not named Patrick Mahomes,
exactly,
they have not performed better than Dak Prescott in the playoffs, or they were not under the similar situations that which you could actually grade them on a fair and equal level, bro. Jared Goff had one of the best supporting casts in the entire NFL this offseason.
Break it down.
Playoffs, bro. He had two-headed running back with Montgomery and Gibbs.
Yep.
He had Jameson. What's the
Williams.
Jameson Williams.
And
Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then he had Sam Laporte at tight end. Not to mention, you got Ragnow and these other dudes on the offensive line, bro.
Yeah.
He had the best supporting cast out of any quarterback this offseason, besides maybe Brock Purdy. And what kills me is,
break it down.
the thing that they didn't want to give Dak Prescott credit for, they're doing it for Jared Goff now. Remember, Dak Prescott had one of the best rookie seasons of all time. Why wouldn't they give him credit?
Right.
Because he had Ezekiel Elliott. Because he had an offensive line. Because he had Dez Bryant there.
Jason Witten.
But yet, Jared Goff can go from being unranked last season on the 2023 list to now on the 2024 list, even with all the help that they held against someone like a Dak Prescott. Now he leapfrogs Dak when Dak has gotten better every season.
Break it down.
Come on, man.
Come on,
man.
So I want you to do this for me here, okay? So like I said, he was ranked number 10 as the best quarterback from ESPN. If you could have your ranking, where would you rank Dak overall for all the quarterbacks?
Dak would be 3 or 4.
Okay.
3 or 4. Who are the definitive 1 and 2?
Patrick Mahomes, definitive 1. I don't think there's a definitive 2. I don't think there's a definitive 2.
Okay.
I think that
I can agree with that.
you can look at a guy like a Lamar Jackson. I would give Lamar Jackson that credit over a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen, because Lamar Jackson at least has solidified his credibility in the league with those 2 MVPs.
Right.
Joe Burrow, if you look at that playoff run that everybody is using to lift him up, he got carried by a defense and a kicker.
Come on with
up
it,
until
man.
the Super Bowl, bro.
Come on with it.
Joe Burrow played pedestrian level football up until that Super Bowl.
You're going to have some fighting words in the comment sections over that.
And I don't care.
And I like Joe Burrow.
I hit him with a 2-piece Kimbo slice combo.
Okay. But you can stand firmly on that you got Dak Prescott somewhere in that range.
Yeah, he's in that 2, 3, 4 range.
What's the play that everybody loves, Joshua Allen? What's that thing going on with that? Talk to me, man.
Maybe BLS can give us some insight on that. Because
why everybody loves Josh Allen?
Why they like Josh Allen? What he does that separates him from everyone else, far as that? Because they kind of put him right below Pat Mahomes to a degree.
I think that's a 2-part question. So Josh Allen is a dynamic quarterback. He has really done a lot in terms of, now don't get me wrong, like he still takes a lot of risky passes, right?
He does.
But in terms of what he does at the line of scrimmage and what he does in the pocket, he's really grown a lot. So I think
can he read a defense?
Ooh.
It seems that
Can he actually read defenses?
I wouldn't say that he's the best at it, but it seems like he's improved in that area. And I think that's what a lot of people are falling in love with Josh Allen right now, is that like initially he's so big, he's so athletic. These passes that he makes, they're so impressive, right? And now that he's adding a little bit of football IQ with that, people are like, oh, like it's his potential that they're really excited about.
I'm glad
right?
you said potential. You know what Josh Allen is to me?
Well, who is he?
He's like that chick that you look at on Instagram all day with the nice proportions and she got the big bousiere and it just looks nice, and you thinking about and you falling in love with the idea of what she could be if she was in your life, right?
Yes.
You fall in love with the idea of how she could be a nurturer and she can cook for you and she can clean and take care of the kiddos. Yeah. And then you actually get her and you realize like, damn, all you know how to do is cook noodles? You don't like cleaning?
Oodles and noodles.
Here's what it was. You were in love with the idea.
You were in love with the idea of
As
Josh
much
Allen.
as I hate that analogy, is
Everyone is no, seriously.
But people are attracted to his athleticism, and they think about, they're like, okay, if he stays on this trajectory of getting so much better in the pocket and getting so much better at reading defenses, there's no evidence that that's what's going to happen. But that's what they think is going to happen, and they're imagining what he will look like when that happens.
In fact, there's been evidence that he hasn't gotten better because he's turned the ball over at a similar rate every year of his career.
Wow.
Now the other side of that coin is the fact that at the end of the day, all these lists are created for engagement. And one thing that I said, I think also I said a year ago, was that when it comes to Cowboys Nation, the fan base stays active throughout the year.
Facts.
So one thing that a lot of people have learned is that you can create a list, put Dak Prescott anywhere but top 5, and it will get engagement. Yeah. And so I really think that's what a lot of people do. That's what happened with Harry Douglas. He broke the rule. He was like, no, I think Dak is
Marley
number
Quern
1.
was like,
wait a minute.
She's like, no,
did you hear the briefing before we got on this segment? You're not supposed to say nice things about him.
Right? She's like, you ruining the whole segment. No, I think a lot of it is that they. It's easier to have a discussion or a debate or get engagement when you say something quote unquote controversial. Like Dak isn't where a lot of us know he should be, than to just go ahead and admit like, Dak's been cutting up on the field.
And that extremely explains why Matthew Stafford was top 5 on that particular list.
Yeah, they gotta put somebody up there.
Come on, man. Matthew Stafford was really the placeholder. But that's where Dak was supposed to be at.
Yeah, he's been dog food basically.
Literally.
When he played against us. So, and I like Matthew Stafford. Shout out to him. But at the end of the day,
Supreme arm talent.
Yeah, supreme. He's the arm talent that everybody fell in love with previously. You know,
out of
it took
Georgia.
him 13 years. You know, to eventually get to that Super Bowl, but he had to get traded to another team, etc. So that lets us know that also it takes a team, not an individual.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
So, question
And
for
we know
you.
that.
We know the Cowboys have not signed Dak yet.
Right.
There's still ongoing negotiations, I believe. I hope so. So here's a left field kind of question for you. All right. With all these rankings coming out about Dak, does this justify the holdup of them not paying him?
Nope.
I'll let BLS start.
No, from a media standpoint.
Let me kick this off.
From a media standpoint, the way they have
Lago.
from a media standpoint, okay, the way they are portraying Dak,
Right.
as a Cowboys organization, does that give you the right to kind of, okay, maybe we should take our time if we're going to sign you or not?
You shouldn't take your time. Like I said before, what do you pay first? Your mortgage bill, your light bill, or your water bill? What do you pay first? Come on, panel.
Mortgage.
Of
Mortgage,
course.
obviously, yes.
So your quarterback will always be your mortgage. You can always spread that money out if you pay your quarterback first. Keep in mind, look at what the Philadelphia Eagles just did. You know, they're paying top dollars, $250 million to Jalen Hurts. They are paying top dollars to A.J. Brown. They're paying some shape, form, or fashion top dollars to Smitty, so they are able to pay that money because they paid their mortgage first. So the Cowboys are stuck into this situation, whereas Dak Prescott now have all of the leverage, right? Because Todd France saw this coming in advance. The no trade clause. Hey, excuse me as well. The no franchise tag clause on that contract too. So the Cowboys are forced to pay. They're paying what right now, as far as cap space, $55 million this season, and it's going to be a $40 million next season. So you got to figure out how to spread this money out. So you got to pay Dak Prescott.
Gotta pay Dak first.
Yeah, but what you was about to say?
Okay, so first of all, I think there's an assumption that the Cowboys don't want to pay Dak Prescott. We don't know that that's the
Right.
case.
I think that's
There's-
completely false, by the way.
There's so much that goes into these contract negotiations
Go ahead.
besides just the dollar amount, whether it's the payout of bonuses and how that happens, or other language
guarantees.
related to guarantees, related to suspensions. There's
Right.
these contracts are very lengthy documents, so it could be anything that
Right.
they're hung up on. But also, Dak has literally no reason to sign a deal right now. So first of all, in a few months, and I say a few, but in several months, right? 2025, after the season, he'll go into undrafted free agency. That is a status that
Or
a lot of
unrestricted free agency.
unrestricted. Unrestricted free agency. That is a situation that a lot of athletes literally dream of, because that's when
Correct.
you can actually see what does the market think of you.
Right.
And so he really has no incentive to sign anything before then, because even if he doesn't sign a deal at all, he gets $40 million from the Dallas Cowboys. He can take a year off.
You know what his incentive is?
What's that?
If he plans on staying with the team, his incentive is to sign then so that team can actually continue to build. Because what's going to happen is if he goes into unrestricted free agency next season,
Right.
Dak is not going to be one of the first people signed. It's going to be a bidding war for him. And
Yes.
with that being said, if he still comes back to the Cowboys, it would actually be detrimental to his own status with the Cowboys to hold out and then make them go into a bidding war, not have the opportunity to actually get their salary cap in a position where they can continue to add pieces to this to make sure he keeps a competitive team around him.
Yeah.
Right, but we
That's
don't know
why the
how big of an
timeliness
if
of
of
it.
that is. Are y'all familiar with the concept called the priority deck?
Break it down.
Go ahead and break it down.
A priority deck is basically a concept that's related to, for example, a lot of business owners use this idea to explain how they might have a certain goal, right?
Right.
But then they have a lot of other goals, and those goals may rank differently in priority, right? So Dak Prescott has said he wants to be a Dallas Cowboy.
Right.
For life. Yeah.
But we don't know
For
where
life.
that ranks in his priority deck compared to having a certain type of coaching staff, having a certain type of ownership, having certain pieces around him, or getting paid a certain amount. We don't know where that ranks in his priority deck.
I
We
would
know
say
that's something
this.
that he wants.
I feel like it supersedes everything else because that's the only thing that we've actually heard him talk about out of everything you just named.
Well, that's the only thing that's
Dak
appropriate
Prescott
for him
has
to
never
talk
come
about.
out. Dak Prescott has never come out and made as much as a comment about how the offenses are being called or the coaches that are in the building or anything like that.
In what world would it be okay for him to come out and say those things?
This is 2024. This world.
It's
We've
still
seen
Dak
players
Prescott.
across every team.
We know
do this
Dak
at some
Prescott
point.
is in a different boat whenever it comes to what he says and
Right.
how it
Facts.
impacts the narrative.
Right.
There are
And
certain
Dak-
things that
Dak
he
is
might
the
think that he
ultimate-
will never be able to say out loud.
Dak is the ultimate company man as it comes to making sure that he doesn't rock
Which is
the
further
boat.
support for
Right.
the idea that he might not say certain things out loud.
Which is further support for the idea that he is going to do his best for the team as well.
And he might. But who's going to be the head coach next year?
Uh-oh.
No.
Exactly.
know.
How will that impact Dak Prescott?
You think quarterbacks are trying to decide how much? If you're getting $250 million, you
Yeah.
think you care who else is working with you as your coworkers?
You might if there's language in your contract that's performance based.
But
And
so-
now you
so
have
here's
a
the-
coach
okay,
that might
so-
impact
This is a
what you
good-
do
this
in
is a good
terms of
debate right
passes.
here.
So now so here's the thing.
Go ahead.
One of the holdups for Dak Prescott's contract, based off of things that have been getting whispered around, right? Guarantees.
Okay.
Okay.
If Dak Prescott and his agent are fighting for a 100% guaranteed contract, I can tell you this: that makes it to where nothing else that's going on the team impacts Dak at all and his status with the team.
If they get that, yes.
Right, that's reportedly that's what he's fighting for.
And I think he's right to do that.
Right. I just don't think that
There's so much up in the
if you're
air.
Dak,
Okay.
and he's made comments this offseason about understanding how his position within the
Right.
salary cap affects the rest of the team. He's made
Okay.
that comment. He made that comment at his event for, I think it was Faith Fight Finish event or whatever. He
Correct.
made that
He
comment.
did. He did say that.
He made that comment about understanding how his contract negotiations impact the rest of the team and what the Cowboys are able to do. With him saying that to me lets me know that he is still thinking from a I want to continue to build this thing standpoint. It's not like I'm mad at the Cowboys. They're not giving me
Right.
my money right now. I'm ready
Right.
because the
He's
only
mad at
reason
anybody.
because technically the only reason he would be ready to leave the team is if he was taking these negotiations personally and if he was taking the timeline that the negotiations are being done on personally. Dak has already stated his first time around he took it personally.
Personally, he did. He
This
did
time
take it.
around he has talked to Jerry. He knows what was going on in Jerry's mind and what Jerry's trying to do. So he's chilling. So
Just
I don't
because
think
you're
that
looking
Dak
at-
is taking offense to anything that's happening, and he has no reason to do something that at the end of the day is going to hamstring his team.
No doubt.
You don't have to take offense to make a business decision and end up leaving.
I don't think it's just business though. I think Dak is operating with his heart and business as well. I do.
He may be operating in that, but what is in good faith? Like most people ask him, should he take a team friendly? Should he take a discount? Right? That's the bottom line.
I think that's subjective to him.
That's subjective to him. But even if he do that, right, in good faith, will the Cowboys do anything with that money?
They've proven they have it. They
Right.
won't.
Exactly.
They've proven that they won't. The year that the best signing was Gerald McCoy, they proved
Right.
that they wasn't
Yeah,
going to do
yeah.
anything with that money.
So why would his agent kind of pound the table and say, hey, I get with what you're saying, Dak Prescott, to follow the company line, what have you. But look at the historical data. They don't go out and spend in free agency. That's a principle. That's a philosophy. It's kind of like, hey, they are stuck on putting raisins on the potato salad and saying, hey, it tastes good, right? So you can't force someone to appreciate it like that when it's not good. The Cowboys refuse, regardless of whether or not they have $90 million available to spend money actually in free agency, or opposed to them not having money, right? They still say that we like our guys, but every single player got to fight for his contract. Look at CD Lamb. He's still fighting for his contract.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's not just Dak either.
Not just Dak. It's a
Trevon
principle.
had to wait until when? Like, when did he sign his contract extension?
Before the last year, I think it was before his last year, going into his last year of his
Well,
deal.
I'm saying, like, at what point in the summer did that
Training
actually
camp.
happen?
Training
Okay,
camp, yeah.
So, I guess here's my thing.
Break
If
it
there
down.
was going to be an opportunity for Dak to be offended and want to test his unrestricted free agency, it
Okay.
would have been after they franchise tagged him twice.
Yeah.
That's my, because you're in your prime. You're 100% like you're still a young, well, not in your prime. You're a young quarterback
Right.
still at that point, and that's where your maximum value is going to be at. Right then and there. I don't think right now, with how everything is shaking out, how he has kind of handled everything, he is not giving any indication that the Cowboys as an organization have done anything to him that he would take offense to.
So
I still don't think him taking offense has to be the driving force behind any sort of business decision.
So let's use,
and that's fair.
And so let's use business to segue into this next topic here. All right, you mentioned the priority decks and priorities business owners have. All right, they have two priorities right now.
What's that?
Dak and CD.
Okay.
Right.
Which one is more likely to get signed first?
I think they're
CD's
go
more
hand in
likely
hand.
to get signed just because like they have the option of franchise tagging him. So I think at the end of the day, if they have to, they might do it. You know.
True.
I don't think you franchise tag CD unless you have a quarterback in place. Me personally.
Facts. Yes.
I mean, I
Me
agree.
personally, I don't
I'm
think
just
you
saying as far
franchise
as-
quarter a CD. You don't franchise a wide receiver one. You don't pay a wide receiver one if you don't have a plan at minimum for who's going to be throwing them the ball. Because at that point, a wide receiver, we seen it with Michael Thomas.
Right.
We seen it with Devontae.
Right.
Matter of fact, the Raiders are a perfect example of what the Cowboys would be without
But
an
we
actual
know Dak's
quarterback.
gonna be here this year.
What I'm saying is we've seen this already. The Raiders, they went with Jimmy Garoppolo. They tried to go to a Trey Lance type of option, essentially, what that would be. They had Josh Jacobs. They had Darren Waller. They had Devontae Adams. They had an amazing offensive line.
Correct.
They're essentially the Cowboys in the AFC side
AFC
without a
side.
quarterback.
Yeah.
And we've seen what that looked like.
True.
Right? And we see how unhappy Devontae Adams is. We seen how Devontae on receiver is talking about, oh, we got to get Jimmy the heck up out of here, bro. Y'all going to get me killed out here.
Yeah.
You don't think these dudes talking to each other?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
2024.
That's what they
You don't
are.
think these dudes understand the implications of why Jay Jetta said, I'm not signing a contract till I know who my quarterback's going to be?
Yeah.
Right. That's why they would have to tag him this.
So
now
that's why I think Dak comes first. That's why I think they're going to have to sign Dak first. Because for one, Dak's contract frees up a lot of money for them to play with.
Yes.
Two, I don't think CD is incentivized to sign a long-term deal if he doesn't know what the heck is going on with his QB.
He's not.
Yeah.
That's why I think they'd have to tag him because we know that Dak is going to be here this year, but it's the forthcoming years that are in question. That's
Is this
by-
CD's
by
last
some-
year?
Well,
Or he got one more year left.
They have the fifth year
They
option.
got a fifth
Yeah.
year option, and then they got the ability to franchise
franchise
tag him
tag him.
twice.
Have they exercised the fifth-year option yet?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they got rights. They got their rights on.
Got their rights.
Yeah.
But yeah, so whatever
Yeah.
they have to do to get CD around for this year, I think they're going to do. Now, if by maybe I misinterpreted your question in terms of like who's going to get signed to like their deal first,
Right.
then yeah, it would have to be Dak Prescott or whoever the quarterback's going to be.
Yeah.
But as far as like who, like the next decision that we hear about, I think the next decision that we hear about, whether it's tagging or a deal or something else, that's the next domino that's going to fall is going to be whatever happens with CD next, because they're going to want him around for this season.
Yeah. And then it's a two folds too, because you know, there's other receivers on this team that got contracts. In the Cowboys quarterback room, no one got contracts beyond 2025. So you got to sign someone.
Yeah.
And it'll be idiotic for the Cowboys to let Dak Prescott go through this season and play. And
That's what you just don't do that like that. You just don't see
Coming
see
off of
that.
the year that
You
he had.
don't
Yeah.
see that, bro. That's
You
that
don't
to
see
me
it
is the
where,
that's
though?
anywhere
We
in
gotta
the
think about the
across the
Joneses.
league. No, across. I know it's a running joke. It's a running joke to make fun of how the Joneses do business.
It's not a joke though.
we-
It's a reference to their habits.
Is it though? Because I feel like Cowboys fans at times get caught up looking at things through their own fishbowl lens.
It's
right?
no.
I feel like if we were to pay as much attention to other teams as we do the Cowboys,
Right.
we would see very similar deficiencies with the way these franchises are run, and we would realize that the Cowboys are actually one of the best roster building teams in the league.
They are. They are. That.
I mean, they are in terms of doing the best with what they have, right?
No, they're one of the best roster building teams. And the Cowboys over the last half decade essentially have had one of the most talented teams rosters in the league. The problem is they've had glaring deficiencies at important
Yes.
spots that
you
they
go.
cannot seem to fix. That's been the
What-
problem.
That's what Mina Kimes kind of pointed out last week
Right.
about the fact that CeeDee Lamb top 5, top 4 wide receiver in the National Football League,
But you don't
the
have a
opposing-
secondary. You don't have a third. You don't have a you don't have a proven tight end that everybody's looking at. You don't have a running game that's
Running
consistent.
game,
You don't have,
yeah.
you can't stop the running game. But
Yeah.
you have these uber talented players because you did an actual decent job of scouting and putting your roster
evaluating.
together.
Yeah.
But you just didn't do a good job of actually filling the holes that need to be filled to actually have a championship contending team.
You know
And
where
that's
it
what
come
I
from?
mean by habits.
Right.
By habits. You know, she said we top heavy, right? Like Brandon Cooks was ranked like 87th, 90th, you know, in wide receiver categories, and everyone else is pretty much not even on that marker. But what's tend to happen with the Cowboys is this thing right here. There's no sense of urgency. Like, who's going to get fired if they screw the pooch, right? Like, who's going to get fired if they burn down a house or they wreck the Ferrari? Who's going to get fired? There's no one, right? There's no one that can be held accountable to those particular things. Nobody's going to fire Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones, especially with that contract deal with Michael Gallup, where that was really terrible. You know, $60 million.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Jalen Smith.
Yeah, contract, 50-something million dollars, right? La'el Collins contract. Nobody's held accountable for those particular contracts. Now, granted, La'el Collins, I get it, you know, but the ideology is that when it's time to move on from players, we hold on to players so long that we get nothing back in return.
When the Cowboys were winning championships, there was no salary cap in place. Ever since the salary cap era has come into play, the Joneses have struggled when it comes to really figuring out every aspect of free agency, contract negotiation, so on and so forth.
Facts.
So that's one of the things that I'm referring to when I say fans are looking at their habits and looking at what continues to happen year after year. Yes, they will still find good players, usually at a bargain, but it does seem to be that there's always some sort of deficiency, and not like a small one, like a very glaring one that they can't seem to fix because they don't really seem to know how to put together a roster if they can't just throw all their money around.
Well, the problem has been there's no urgency. Like he was saying,
Right.
when you can't fire somebody
Right.
for doing a bad job, they have no incentive to do things with urgency or to do things in a way to where it makes sure that they're protecting themselves on all parts.
I think if there was urgency, they would hire a GM.
I think if there was urgency, we would have seen these extensions done already. If we had an actual GM, these extensions would have been done, and that GM would have tried to add other pieces to make this a true contender.
Yes.
When you have Steven, as you have your son as your GM, and you know that you're not, he's not going to get fired.
Right.
Steven's making most of the decisions. He might not be the actual GM, but he's making most of the decisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you have that in place, he has no reason to rush it. He can honestly do things on his own time, and that's why I say it's arrogance and operation. I say that every time I talk to y'all. Arrogance and operations. They believe in how
Is
they
it
do
arrogance
things.
Or is it apathy?
I don't think it's apathy because I do think they care about their money.
I mean, they care about their money, but they get the money either way.
I do think they care about their money, and I do think that they care about the perception of the Cowboys to a degree because...
Ooh, you own it.
In a sense...
Keep going right there. I'm going to see if you're going to touch on it.
You have to care about your perception to have a successful business.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have to care about how you're perceived to encourage, I guess, excitement in your fan. So that's why you make these marginal moves like adding a Stephon Gilmore, even though he has like a year left. That's why you make these moves like adding a Brandon Cooks. Just do these little couple things.
But do they think an actual championship is essential to the perception?
I don't think that a championship is at the top of their list as far as running their business.
And on that, we're on the same page. And I
Right.
think their actions are proof of that.
Here's what I was going to touch on when you said that perception aspect of it. You know, Cowboys came out with that Netflix documentary, The Cheerleaders, and everybody was talking about the payment, right? And one of the things that they mentioned that it's a privilege to be a cheerleader. It's a privilege to represent the star in the side of the helmet to be a Cowboy player. They look at it as if, though, it's a privilege to play for the Cowboys. Not necessarily you deserve to get your coins or your bag or what have you, because this should be a privilege because you can segue into other business ventures. So they look like they're doing you a favor.
Dak touched on that at his Faith Fight Finish Foundation event when he said, I understand the gravity of what being a Cowboy means because it opens up these doors for me to have these opportunities, to have these kind of events to this scale.
Right.
I think this is what I said too when we three did a show together right before free agency started. I was like, in their minds, the Cowboys' mind, this is what they think. They think everyone's still relishing to play with that star on the side of their
And
head.
they are. I mean, and let's be real. Let's keep it real. They are.
But they are expecting,
however.
but they are expecting people to take a discount to come do this.
Right.
That's what they're expecting.
And that's the Stevens part. Because to me, Jerry, he was so much about the perception
Right.
of being a big dog on the block that he didn't care about throwing a bag at somebody to make sure he
prime
got that
time.
headline.
Yeah,
He didn't
to
care about
everything.
that.
Yeah.
To me, Steven, he isn't as much of an attention whore, for lack of better words.
Right.
So he doesn't care as much about winning the optics battle.
Right.
Jerry does.
Yeah.
So Jerry's going to do whatever he has to do to make sure that he gets that pat on the back and people talking about Jerry.
Yeah.
And that explains too that why the Cowboys have one of the lowest paid staff coaching wise, right? Mike McCarthy, he's not getting paid a big bag.
Nope.
And on top of that, they saving money because there's no offensive coordinator on this particular staff.
Yep.
And when it was time to go out there and get true coaching, we got guys like Scott McCurley that your resume probably is better in that particular department in coaching up linebackers.
Steven Jones is the prophet and lost guy.
Yeah.
You have Darren Thompson, who's never been a linebacker in his life, coaching linebackers. Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, what are we doing?
We're going to get in trouble for this segment.
Steven Jones is the profit and loss guy. Jerry Jones is the win the deal by any means. The money will come as long as we got the headlines guy.
Who handles the cap for the Dallas Cowboys? What's on his resume? I think
That man worked at Restaurant Bar and Grill.
What?
He worked at the Restaurant Bar and Grill somewhere.
True story.
No, seriously.
True story.
It's in, I think it's in Carrollton or something like that. He worked as a server right before he got a job with the Cowboys organization.
How do you get
How does that happen?
How,
asking
Sway?
you.
How?
He went from being a server to like doing something with the scouting department or something like that,
What
and then
happened
he got
to,
promoted into the
What happened
actual.
to what's his name? Todd Williams. What was it? Todd Williams, Doug Williams. I can't remember his name. They used to manage the cap for many years.
He ain't there. Scott McCurley took over in 2021 or 2020. One of
I'm
those
talking about Scott McCullers.
Not McCurley, the dude that we're talking about.
Okay.
The
What did he take
the
over?
salary cap manager. He took over in 2020 or 2021. I did a video about this.
Because there was I think it was Todd Williams or Doug Williams used to be the cap guy. He used to handle the cap.
Doug was a Redskins quarterback.
No.
That Doug Williams, but I can't remember his name. I think I want to say I can't remember the guy's name, but his name was either Todd or Doug that used to run the cap. All right, so let's segue here too. Let's kind of talk about the receiver position in kind of a whole here, and I got quite a few questions here dealing with the subject. First, how long do we think the CD holdout is going to last?
He getting fined daily, right?
I don't think it actually starts. I don't think it starts.
Well,
I think we're going to see some big news. I think we're going to see some big news within the next 4 or 5 days.
Okay, so you think 4 or 5? Do you think he's going to be no holdout?
Yeah,
essentially.
No, I don't think. Well, he's going to hold out. He's going to.
How long do you think it's going to be?
I think the Cowboys cave first, just like
They always do.
Like the Cowboys Zeke. I think that they do something similar to that.
Zach Martin as well too.
That's
what I was gonna say.
Zach
I
was
feel
smart.
like-
He did a soft holdout.
Yeah.
He didn't do it. He didn't do an actual full holdout.
Yeah,
He was just there like, I'm not doing nothing.
I'm not doing it. My knee. The synovial fluid in the knee ain't working tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Need my knee drained.
So you're saying no holdout for you,
I'm
small
saying-
holdout for you.
No, I'm saying a full holdout.
Full
because
holdout?
I think that, just by CeeDee Lamb not putting himself even at the Dak Prescott camp, I think that he's getting advised to just, hey, you don't want to just be seen visibly with any of these boys until they pay you and they respect you and they give you what you rightfully deserves.
I just pray it doesn't turn into an Emmitt Smith type holdout.
The CD and Dak Prescott camps were held on the same day, though, in 2 different cities, wasn't they?
Oh, break it down. Shoot, break it down.
I'm about to say, one of them held their camp in Round Rock and the other did it in South. I think Dak did his in South Lake and CD's camp was in Round Rock. And it was the same day.
They couldn't talk to each other a couple of days before.
So I don't
hey,
think,
man, I got this game going on.
I don't think that they were gonna. That was never gonna be a situation. And Dak has actually said within the last 2 weeks that he's been working with CD still.
Okay, well, hey,
He said that within the last couple of weeks. Like,
I think
Places
all of
have
that
actually
back
said that
then.
CD's been around.
yeah, he said CD's been
CD's
around.
camp was actually organized and put together by a company that has started doing these camps for various players.
Yeah.
So I think it was probably a situation where they figured out the best location, date, time, and they didn't really look into like
Who else is doing it, cross scheduling stuff. Yeah.
Right.
coincidence,
The same company that sent Micah to China
Dang.
put together CD's camp.
We'll didn't touch on Michael on the end. You know, shout out to Parsons and everybody. You know,
Just at the end of the day, I understand. I respect you getting your bag. I respect it 100%. As a player, you got to get your money because you never know when your last play is going to be in this league. But for me as a fan, I don't want it to be like an Emmitt Smith holdout where they go into the
first,
season.
going to the actual season.
Going to actual season, like, oh damn, we need fucking CD. And
I'm gonna tell you this: if it gets to that, then I might be resigned to what she said. As far as Dak may not be re-signing here.
Yeah, if you do that to him,
because to me, the only reason you wait that long to sign anybody to where it's like into the regular season is if you've been planning on not signing anybody.
Yeah. It sets the wrong precedents too, because you look at it like this. What incentives do you set out for Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, that when Kevontae Turpins to go balls out and just say to everybody, I'm finna go guns a-blazing out there on the field, when they looking at, you doing that to CD Lamb?
Thank you.
Who am I? You know? And so this is a very, very crazy thing to do for the Cowboys to strong arm their own players.
I think strong arming your receiver and your quarterback can have a negative impact on morale. Because it's like those two dudes, those are all pro players. One was a runner-up MVP, one's a runner-up in Offensive Player of the Year. It's like, what else can you do to earn your money with this team at that point?
Yeah. And then here's the other thing though that a lot of people say, well, they're going to eventually pay those boys anyway. But here's my thoughts. You don't go buy a Ferrari and park it outside when you have a 3-car garage. And that's why people can put fingers over it. People can throw rocks and hit your car. You're supposed to covet the things that you protect and you love. And the Cowboys just never show that to us on the players that they say, we like our own guys. You know, they just don't do that in my opinion.
Never use the word love. You just use the word love.
they like their guys.
Right.
Like and love is two different things. So, but they keep saying that they like their guys, but they just don't show it.
Right.
Yeah. They don't show it. Show me where they show it.
Or maybe they do show it, and this is how they act when they like somebody.
No, for real though.
And we just need to accept that.
We need to accept that.
Okay.
Exactly.
We're gonna punch this car on the curb.
And that's a viable. That's honestly a viable take. Is because that's something I've kind of started to resign myself to. Is like at some point as Cowboys fans, we just, if you're going to decide the root for this team, you have to just be okay with the way that they do business.
I'm going to use this example since y'all used the example of the IG models earlier. I was in a relationship with a guy who said he loved me. He was an asshole though, right? The relationship was not healthy, and at the end of the day, I had to resign to the idea maybe he does love me. Maybe by his standards, this is love, but I can't stand.
But
for
it's not acceptable for me.
Exactly.
Right.
Well,
so I don't care what you define love like as. I'm not doing it.
well, to be fair, the creator said he chastised those he loved, so maybe he was just chastising you.
Don't get me started. Do not get me started.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a couple battles going on in training camp. Like I said, I want to say on this receiver subject, we have a wide receiver 3 battle. Okay. And there's also some other news we'll talk about here momentarily. Okay. As of now, as his roster is projected as it is, you're going to have a wide receiver 3 battle between Jalen Brooks and Jalen Tolbert. Who ultimately do you think wins that wide receiver 3 position?
Man, y'all want to go first? Because I already got my guy.
Well, if you got your guy, tell us.
Yeah, go ahead.
Shoot, I got Jalen Brooks over this thing.
Really?
Oh my goodness, man. He got God ability, man. God bless this kid with length, and he at the top of the route. You know,
how tall is Jalen Brooks?
Oh my God.
No Diddy.
No Diddy.
It's not for real though.
He blessed this dude with length. Wait a minute. See, we live in this sexualized culture. Yeah. He got the length. I didn't say girth, but at the end of the day. He can high point the ball. I think that he's more aggressive at the top of his route. When you look at it, the 50-50 balls, I think that he have more control than Jalen Tolbert. I like Jalen Tolbert's speed and his short area quickness, but it's just the fact that when Jalen Brooks, when he see ball, he go get ball. Pause if necessary. And on all of this, man, I think that what we seen last season from Jalen Brooks coming out of nowhere, I was hating on the kid, believe it or not. I was like, man, why we got another wide receiver? But that 8-3 prove and showcase to the world that, hey, ain't nobody stopping him. I like Jalen Tolbert, but I think that Jalen Brooks will win out this spot. On top of that, I think that we need a definitive X receiver, and he had the frame for it.
And we also did draft Ryan Flo, as I like to call him.
Flournoy.
So he could be a guy. We don't know what's going to see happen when we get out there in training camp. You know, we always have that one receiver that we fall in love every year with in training camp to come that pet cat. I think last year was a tight end. It was Stevens.
John Stevens Jr.
John Stevens.
Everyone was rooting for him.
He's coming back this year too.
Yeah.
So,
a little bigger too.
We could talk about that.
And he didn't put some weight on.
Put some weight on. Do I have to say pause after everything?
No, you good.
You actually don't have to say it.
Nah, that one was out of pocket. So you didn't have to say
He's bigger now.
Yeah, that was super out of pocket.
But what's y'all thoughts on the wide receiver battle?
I mean, honestly, I think one of the things that we've seen season after season is that when it comes to who ends up being wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, a lot of it has to do with who has the best chemistry with Dak Prescott.
100%.
Brandon Cooks got a lot of targets just off him and Dak trying to make this, corner route work. That did not work, but he kept trying. And so I think that said, Dak really wanted Brandon Cooks to play a significant role in the offense.
Right.
And so I think everything that you stated about Jalen Brooks and Jalen Tolbert has validity, right? But I think what's going to happen is at training camp, and once the season starts, we're going to see who really has that chemistry. We already know that Jalen Tolbert has a really good relationship with Dak Prescott.
He does.
He's talked about a lot of the off the field and intangible stuff that he's picked up from Dak. And we've seen last season that Dak really wants to make this connection with Brandon Cooks work. So that inclines me to say that it's going to be one of them, unless Jalen Brooks does something in training camp to really stand out, right? And that's where we might see this holdout with CeeDee Lamb actually come into play and impact the team, where if somebody else is getting his reps, everybody else has to move up. It might end up giving Jalen Brooks some opportunities that he wouldn't have had before. But I've never been a person to be like, my predictions have to be right. So I haven't really latched on to a definitive number 2 or number 3. But I do think once we see who Dak has chemistry with, it's going to tell us a lot about what to expect during the season.
To counter argument that you said, it all depends who has chemistry with Dak. We've seen guys that come here that have had chemistry with Dak in training camp, didn't do squat after that. What's his name? I want to say his last name was Houston or something like that.
Dennis
Houston.
Dennis Houston?
Yeah, they said him and Dak had amazing chemistry, and Dak loved him. That didn't translate.
He got a good number of targets. He got a good number of targets. He just wasn't good enough to capitalize.
Right.
But he got more for what he was bringing to the field. He got more targets and more attention than he should have because of his chemistry with Dak Prescott. Same thing with Brandon Cooks. I'm like, how many times do you have to see this connection not happen to the corner? Everybody on Twitter, every time one of those plays happened, everybody's like, oh my God, they tried it again. But they kept trying. It was something they had worked on in the offseason. So they're like, we're going to keep trying until we get it right, and we just won't ever get it right.
And I think there was just a lot of moving parts. People got to remember, last year was the first season. Last year was the first season in that new offense.
Installment.
And when you're trying to, as a quarterback, get on the same page with your number 1 guy, it's very difficult to try to mix that in as well as also develop this chemistry with every other receiver at the same time. So I think that's where you start to see the real improvements in year 2, year 3 of an offense, is because now you're able to use more of your weapons. You're able to use more of what's available to you. And that, to me, is the leap that you see with quarterbacks when they go into year 2, year 3 of being under the same offensive system. You'll see more of the other guys start to show out then.
Yeah, and just to echo all of that, is more so far as the lower end of the wide receiver room, it's how the Cooper Rush connect to them. It's how Trey Lance connect to them. Trey Lance and Cooper Rush will be given. I think Trey, they said that he's going to get the ample enough opportunities to showcase his talent. So you may see more and more of Trey Lance because they got to do a decision factor on him.
No, 100%.
Because you
can't let both Dak and Trey Lance leave for nothing. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by can't we mean shouldn't? But
we shouldn't do that. But the Cowboys, they haven't done anything that ridiculous though. They haven't let dudes walk out this team that still had value that you could actually trade and get legitimate stuff back for. Now Amari, they traded for bad value, but they still traded him because they knew they wasn't gonna be able to keep him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So let's talk about a rumor that's been going around while we're still on the receiver position. They're saying a name out there, Michael Thomas, as someone that has some links to the
I like it.
Dallas Cowboys.
I like it.
we've seen how his career has gone so far.
Right.
You know, he had that great, few seasons, and it just really hasn't been.
He had
much.
4 amazing seasons. The last season he had 1,795 yards, and then after that it completely dropped off to under 500 yards every season. He missed all of 2021.
That's before the pandemic, huh?
Yeah,
before the pandemic.
2019 was the last season he was actually a productive receiver. That was his 1,700-yard receiving year.
So that name has been connected. The Cowboys always are able to find some of those veteran receivers.
Michael Thomas to me is the perfect Cowboy. That is the perfect pickup for it. Yes. Yeah. That is the type of signings the Cowboys love.
Oh, in that sense. Yeah.
Dudes with names.
Latavius Bryant type.
Dudes with names, but they're not going to cost anything.
Yeah, low risk, high reward type of players.
Not even that part. It's the I can sell you.
Yeah.
But you may not actually be what you're sold to be.
Breaking news: Cowboys signed Michael Thomas.
Seriously, over the last 4 seasons,
he played for the Saints. The Super Bowl is in New Orleans.
All pro.
This is not real news. He
played with Brandon Cooks.
I don't want y'all to get
that too. He played with Brandon Cooks as well. So there. Remember,
chemistry. That I didn't even think about it. That's
right.
He played with Brandon Cooks with the Saints. So I think that's part of the reason why that has started to pick up so much steam is because Michael Thomas does have that connection with Cooks, and it's like, okay, you got CD, and then you essentially add the Saints receiving room for 5 years ago as your next options.
Yeah.
But Michael Thomas, like I was saying, he's a perfect option because he has not had a lot of productivity.
Correct.
Over the last 4 or 5 seasons. Which means his cost is going to be at the floor.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's also a big name.
Yeah.
He's a name that would move the fan base a little bit to where it's like, oh, we did something. He's a name that Jerry and Steven next December will be able to point to and be like, we did make a move. Look.
Yeah.
And they love having that fail safe.
Yeah. So say it with me.
And then his connection with the former Cowboy, I think.
Yeah.
It's always something about that, like, you know, him being Keyshawn Johnson's like nephew or something. And it's like the funny thing about Keyshawn is like he didn't even have that much time with the Cowboys.
He didn't, but he's mostly known as a Cowboy.
He's known as a Cowboy.
He's mostly known as a Cowboy. That man played with the Jets and the Bucks, and he's mostly known as a Cowboy.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Okay.
But here's the thing. As long as he's better than James Washington, James
Washington was.
We're gonna move on amicably from that. We're moving on amicably now from fucking James Washington.
That was not a good pickup.
Here's my one other thought, though. I know you're finna move on to another topic, though. But sometimes the display of the shotgun is just as dangerous, right? When you look at someone, they pull out the shotgun, you say, hey, and that's what he will be able to bring. I think that last year we didn't have any threat of an X-receiver. Nobody feared Michael Gallup.
Nobody was worried about Michael Gallup or Jalen Tolbert or none of them dudes.
Right.
Nobody was worried about them. So 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a hypothetical question, or not even a hypothetical question. It's just a matter of opinion. I want everyone's opinion.
Right.
Like I said, Brandon Cooks, he's probably not gonna be here too much longer. Just
this year, he's probably going after this year, bro.
Age, he's getting up there. A bunch of different things of contracts. He's probably not gonna be on his team a lot longer. So when you have a prominent receiver in CD, you have to have a complement for him. Is our future wide receiver 2 and complement to CD on his roster right now?
No.
The only reason I'm inclined to believe that it might possibly be the case is that if you look at Brandon Cook's past years, it was always up and down, almost alternating. And so the fact that he had a down year, like just
only with yards though. Because his touchdowns, he had double-digit touchdowns.
I thought that
ain't nothing to sneeze at.
He had 8 touchdowns.
Well, close to 10, right?
So
that would still put him at the top, 10 to 15 of receivers in the league for touchdowns.
True.
So only the yards he kind of came back on, but CD had 1,700 of the mugs. So you only got so many yards to spread around.
I don't know if it's wishful thinking, but part of me wants to believe that Dak and Brandon Cooks are going to continue the work that they tried to do last season.
I think they're going to be a lot better this year.
Yeah, I want to believe they're actually going to get it this year.
I think they are.
I think so.
I think
you're right on the money because people fail to realize in installment years, you normally have a down year. And they went through the installments now. They're going to be on the same page.
They're going to be on the same page this year.
We just got to get CD in the building. Come on now.
And I mean, think about what happened in that installment. The whole trimester thing. Like, at what point in the season did they actually start running the offense that actually looked like it was going to be effective in the NFL? It's not like they started that week 1. We're talking about what game was it when
week
they played
6, week 7.
when they played the Chargers or something. So almost half the season went by before they really started.
Yeah, it was
to feel
after
like
that
they were
49ers
clicking on all
game.
cylinders.
Well, this is what we learned. CeeDee Lamb was a dog last season.
Yes.
And then there was an emergence of Jake Ferguson.
We should have already known that.
Yeah. So Jake Ferguson was the unknown. So now we know Jake Ferguson is him. We know that Lamb can do Lamb things. And now, here's my only thing. This was my other thought with Brandon Cooks, the reason why his numbers were kind of low. Mm-hmm. Where do you eat the most at? Inside. Where do CeeDee Lamb play the most at? Inside. So you had 2 guys playing inside. So when they forced Cooks on the outside, people were like, hey, all right, so we need, like, I'm saying that Michael Thomas, just by namesake, could.
I don't like having small dudes on my outside the numbers. Me personally, I don't like having dudes below 6 foot outside the numbers, bro. I just don't. Yeah. Because you're usually gonna have the longest, rangiest DBs on the outside of them numbers, bro.
Yep. And then they just let him run free, bracket Jake Ferguson, and we roll coverage Lamb way. That's what they did. So now I want to make sure that these teams are thinking for size wise.
I think Michael Thomas would be a great pickup.
Yeah. I think he would too.
Yeah. I think it'd be a great pickup. Even if he gave us 400 yards next season, I think it would be. His impact just being out there would be worth it. I think it would be worth it.
Let's be real. There are a few players from the Saints that the Cowboys should probably pick up. The Saints are a hot mess right now.
No, they are. Yeah. They are. That quarterback position, they all want to get rid of Dak. got Derek Carr. Look what the Saints dealing with. I'm just saying. People were saying Dak and Derek Carr was on the same level.
Same level.
And look what the Saints was dealing with.
The Saints have several weapons on both sides of the ball. This is not a Saints podcast.
We see him week 2, though. We see him week 2. I can't wait to see my guy Chris Olave versus whoever we have. I think Bland on the outside. We don't know. We're going to have that discussion, but keep going. All right.
We're gonna hit on these next couple of things. We gotta get them here a little bit rapidly. We gonna do this. Gonna be a little hot take here. We gonna roll through this here. All right.
Okay.
No more pit stops. All right. We gotta.
I got you. We driving, bro. We
driving here. All right. All right, here we go. So there's also been talk about other things. The Cowboys possibly adding more people on this team. Always around training camp, there's always that veteran body that's getting brought in. A couple of names is thrown out there. Stephon Gilmore still an option out there, i.e. Justin Simmons. Do we think this team's going to add another veteran player or 2 between now and the end of training camp?
I mean, we need help inside, So going to get a Justin Simmons, that's just putting, already a good player in a good spot that we already have on this team. Now, granted, I'm not taking away from a Justin Simmons, more the merrier, but we need help inside. Mm-hmm. You win games down in the trenches, and it's good to look cute and all with Justin Simmons. I get it, but we need a big boy down inside that can gobble up some things that can help stop the run.
Pause. That's a no diddy on that one. We're going to definitely no diddy on that.
My vernacular is just crazy with it, man. Come on, man.
Okay.
Girth, size, pause.
Also, another position I think that still probably could need some attention to work to is running back, all right?
Yeah.
Any of them Jets running backs.
Any of them.
Any of the backup running backs for the Jets, bro. Go get them.
Go get them.
One of them, go get them. Because the Jets have a surplus.
Yeah.
When the Cowboys pick veterans, they tend to pick people that the younger players can learn from.
Dalvin Cook.
And so that to me makes me think like they're probably going to go with the defensive side of the ball before they go with running back, because I'm pretty sure that they're looking at Ezekiel Elliott as somebody that the younger guys can learn from, if nothing else. Mm-hmm. However, we do have a couple of positions on the defensive side that is kind of like, okay, who's there to teach the younger guys? Like we talked all last season about the linebacker problem, right? So they might start looking at that position as an area where it's like, okay, we're going to pick up a veteran to help train who we do have. The few people that we do have on this roster in this position, they're going to need a little bit of help, a little bit of guidance. So,
well, when you come to the linebacker position, I feel like they've already added a number of resources.
Right.
This is true.
Going into it, you drafted what's her name? Leofai. I always butcher his name. They drafted him.
Yes.
You had Eric Kendricks.
Eric Kendricks.
He's going to be your player coach kind of on the field too.
Demo.
This is Overshawn. You have Overshawn. This is going to be year 1 of Overshawn. You have a coach now and Mike Zimmer that can help coach these linebackers.
I can't understate enough how much I have, like, Mike Zimmer to me is the one thing that's really getting me excited about seeing what this defense is going to be.
Right.
Because I feel like he's a legitimate football coach as far as fundamentally sound. Being fundamentally sound and building your defense the right way.
He's going to get the most out of you. I think he's going to get the most out of you when you got guys already, like our guy Clark, Damone Clark is already on the roster. So you have players, I think, that's already on this roster that I think they're going to get better because of the coaching change and shift in culture. You know, you got someone that's... Never mind. I had to watch what I was going to say because that would have been a no diddy. Someone that's going to... Never mind. Someone's going to hold him accountable. Let's get him. Let's get him there.
We need size, and we just don't have size right now. You know, when you think about Mozzie, we can do 225 more than him right now.
Yeah.
You got the shoulder thing, right? So bench press 225 for those who don't know. So what I'm saying is right now, you know, let him slowly come into the picture, right? And just go bring somebody in to help out my guy, Mike Zim's defense.
Yeah.
Because we know that Parsons, either he's going to be more on the edge or linebacker play, but we will find out when training.
He ain't been doing nothing but edge work this
work. So he's the edge guy.
Yeah, Mike has been doing nothing but edge work. Every time we see his workouts, he's not doing anything that you would see linebackers doing, bro.
So did we overdraft on Sam Williams? Did we overdraft on Marshawn Nealon? Because both of those boys are edge guys, and I'm quite sure that they're not going to outperform DeMarcus Lawrence. So did we overdraft?
I don't think you overdrafted because I think that one of those guys is DeMarcus Lawrence's replacement after next year.
It is, but also too, we had a Sam Williams. We drafted him
second round.
We still had, who do we have here? We had Dan Quinn.
We still had that need.
You know, we still had that need. We needed the future because we didn't know we were going to get out of Dorrance Armstrong. We didn't know if he was going to keep producing
Dante Fowler.
and grow. Dante Fowler, you know, was he going to be here 1 year, 2 year? But those were Pat Cats for who? Dan Quinn. He is gone. So you needed someone here for Zimmer's offense. Maybe Nealon is the type of end you need for his defense. And your future for Lawrence. Because like I said, he's a contract that's coming out.
Yeah,
we keep talking about
contract is up next year.
Yeah, we talk about, you know, the Dax, the CDs, the Micahs. You still got the Zach Martin. He may be done.
Zach gonna be done. I think Zach is going to be pretty much ready to hang it up.
And DeMarcus Lawrence contract is up as well too. So you have to be able to replace that somewhere. And what better way to replace it than replace it within versus outside, because we do not sign outside free agents.
Yeah.
Especially someone that's going to be at a high market value of a
the Cowboys draft to replace, bro. Their strategy with roster building is very clear. They draft to replace and they pay a few key core guys, maybe 7 core guys that they really count both sides of the ball. They got 6 or 7 core guys. And then everybody else is draft to replace and get bridge guys in between. That's what it is, bro. It's very obvious.
Okay. Yeah. Well, one other thing we'll talk about real quick, and we're going to be done for you today. The tight end list, the top tight end list. I feel like Jake Ferguson got absolutely snubbed.
Iceberg Ferg.
I think he's good. I think that's who your wide receiver 3 is really on this roster right now. Is really Iceberg Ferg.
Yeah. Maybe 2.
And he
maybe 2.
Maybe 2.
Maybe 2. Yeah. I honestly feel like he's going to be, after CD, Jake Ferguson's probably going to be your next big stat guy.
That's what I've been yelling out all year last season. I was looking at it like, hey, Lamb, Ferg, and then Cooks, or whoever your ancillary pieces are. Go into that particular order. Let Fergs cook, man. But
let Fergie cook, bro.
Because if you look at it also from throughout the season, he keeps getting better and better and better. Dak felt that comfort
he's
with
the
him.
right type of guy.
To
bring up a Jason Garrett turn. Jake Ferguson is the right type of guy.
Our guy, you know.
No, seriously. He's the right type of guy. He's a dude that's extremely competitive.
Right.
He's not gonna back down if a team is playing physical against him.
That Seattle game is a perfect example.
And he has a great work ethic. I mean, what else can you ask for, bro?
And you look at the history of Mike McCarthy. You go down.
He loves his tight ends.
Yeah, he loves tight ends.
He loves tight ends.
Use the word love there.
Pause. No diddy.
So does Dak said himself that tight ends are quarterback's best friends.
Yeah, he said that at tight end U.
Tight end U.
At tight end university, Dak said that.
And you can see in the way that he uses his tight ends that's definitely true, and it makes sense. Like
that's your safety valve.
And in all the games that we saw, the offense kind of lose their morale a little bit. There always seemed to be 2 people who were just not ready to give up outside of Dak, obviously, which was CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson. And Jake Ferguson, he's the quintessential tight end just because of the fact that, like, you have a situation on the Cowboys offense where there's so much focus on CeeDee Lamb that other plays almost always
someone's gonna be open. You're gonna have to have someone open.
And Ferg was always willing to either get open or do some protection or like literally whatever he had to do to make the play.
Ferg was
work.
one of the only dudes fighting still in the Green Bay game.
Exactly.
He was one of the only dudes still fighting.
Had heart. And just to throw this in too, I know a lot of us frowned upon Luke Schoonmaker last season, but he's one of your. He's better. Hear me out. I'm not saying that I'm gonna have pom poms and I'm gonna be cheerleading for a Schoonmaker, but what I'm saying is he got to be the extension of this offensive line. You got 5 guys down there, and you got a guy that's going to be on the blind side by the name of Tyler Guyton. So you're going to have meatier, big, beefy guys on that offensive line, pause if necessary, to chip and release. So he's going to be on that opposite side where Tyler Guyton is at, or he's going to be helping chipping and releasing when we go into 12 personnel.
I think Schoon's going to get his spot taken by John Stevens Jr. or Brevin Spanford.
That's not outside the realm of possibility just because of the skills of the men that you just mentioned. However, Schoon was dealing with an unanticipated injury last year. I don't think he knew how bad his plantar fasciitis could actually get. And I say that mostly based on working with athletes who go up to a higher level of competition, then all of a sudden their bodies are under much more stress. And so even though he knew he had plantar fasciitis flare-ups, I really don't think he knew.
Damn, it's good. Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
I don't think he knew that it could get that bad. And if you've never had an injury that lingers for months, like that can really impact how you practice. It can impact how you play. It can impact your mentality.
That's more of a reason why I'm off of him then.
Well, I say all that
That's
to
more of a
say
reason.
him having so much time to kind of get used to that and what he can expect and figure out what works in terms of treatment, he could come back as a different player. I'm not saying that he will. I'm just saying that's something that we should maybe watch for.
Right.
And just be open to the idea that that's a thing that could happen.
Hey, look, I don't need any more Elmer's glue and duct tape guys on this team, okay?
That's
I don't
not
need anybody else we got to put together, bro.
I mean, that was the second
That's not
round
what
Blue
it
Star
is.
special. What we do?
Hold on,
That's what we do in the
Dak
second
Prescott
round.
is the Elmer's glue and duct tape
right.
guy. Like this man was just walking around with a boot on his foot because of a swollen ankle that happened from an injury he had 4 years ago. Come on now.
Schoon was disappointing last year, man. He was disappointing.
Wait a minute.
Not because he was duct taped together.
Just when there was negative plays and games that we lost, his name was one of the ones that you would see most often, bro.
Hold on, how do we do all this talking about the issues with installment and with first year people, and then we get down on Schoon like this? What's y'all's problem?
I'm just
because we shouldn't have drafted him in the second round.
I was about to say my problem is
we shouldn't have drafted him in the second round.
I haven't seen enough from him to justify him having a solidified spot on his roster.
Well, technically, tight ends and as well as interior defensive tackle guys, they take 3 or 4 years to develop. That's the problem with the Cowboys on drafting those two, Mozzie and Schoon. So we had to. It's very.
But you got
rare.
what, 4 tight ends right now?
We got a lot of them.
Yeah.
But it's very rare.
Hendershot's still out there somewhere.
That's what I'm saying.
It's very, very rare to see what Sam Laporta did.
Yeah.
And Kincaid to a degree. So I'm not giving Schoon a pass, but what I'm saying, he's your quote unquote blocking tight end. And he's going to try to keep the quarterback upright.
You know that they said that Brevin Spanford would be some kind of blocking expert. You know they said that was his strength. I
don't want to outspeak my wisdom teeth on him, but I really think that he's going to be the answer, though.
I'm telling you.
Him and Stevens, John Stevens.
I think your backup tight end comes down to John Stevens Jr. or Brevin Spanford. I'm telling you, bro.
And Peyton Hendershot saying, here I am.
Here I am.
I mean, he can say that all day. You got to show it.
Yeah. Peyton got to show us something, though. Hendershot.
This is stuff we're going to see in training camp.
Crosstalk.
And speaking of training camp, you're going to see your boy Law out there.
Yeah.
And you may see me pop up somewhere here and there. I don't know.
Sometimes you got to pop out and
player
show
from the Himalayas may pull up on you somewhere. We don't know. But, we can have more of these discussions as the season prolongs, as we get through training camp. There's going to be so many topics because this is American teams. There's always going to be news daily with this team somewhere. Somebody coming for rock with some accusation or something. There's always going to be something. So look for more of these crosstalks. As in closing, I want everyone to shout out all their social media platforms where people can find y'all. Check out your stuff because everyone has their own content. But, like I said, we're going to like the Avengers. When we need to come together and say the world, we here, So we're going to start the ladies first over there.
Or are we keeping it clean on this show?
You can do what you want to do, all right?
Okay. So you can go to bitcheslovesports.com to find links to my YouTube, my Twitter, all the social media. And,
spell it out for them.
And my
so they don't spell it the right way.
It is it's spelled exactly like it sounds. BITCHESLOVESPORTS. If you want to write that down for somebody, you can go to blspodcast.com. That is also acceptable. It brings you to the exact same place. And on Twitter, you can find me at BTCHESLUV Sports. They just don't allow enough characters on Twitter.
Okay. Yeah, you hard to find. Your account's hard to find on Twitter too.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's hard to search it up. It is. I think Twitter got you shadow banned or something.
Shadow banned.
But
I mean, that's crazy because I still have like 6,000 plus followers.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But you can find me at all my platforms at Dak Attack Show. It's pretty much the same. IG, Twitter, YouTube, at Dak Attack Show. Whatever one has the most views and viewers on that mug is me.
That's him, Dak Attack. And then you can find me at Law Nation Sports. That's on pretty much everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, the X app. I'm also on YouTube and as well as lawnationsports.com. So check us out. I like this crosstalk thing because now we can play on names. Crosstalk Cowboys, right? So that's CTC. Come see me, baby. Come on, let's go. DC for life, baby. Come on. Let's get it.
All right.
CTC in the house.
Yes, sir.
That got a vibe. That got a good ring to it, don't it?
If there's anyone who can find a vibe, it's Law.
Let's get it.
And you know who I am. I'm your boy Ray Ray's Podcast. Find me on Instagram, Ray's_podcast. Ray's Podcast on YouTube, X, Twitter. It's Twitter. Your mama call you Twitter, I'm gonna call it Twitter. So it's Twitter, Facebook. You can find us. Shout out to my lovely friend Katie. She's doing some amazing work helping us with this. So shout out Katie. She's in the building. Remember, love yourself and love others. Till next time.
Love the Cowboys.
Let's go. Here we go.
Here we go. CTC, baby. Yeah. Make money. Where the outro at? No. What you doing? Oh, no. Put the button over there. Come on.
Hey, get money all day, get money all night. Sip my drink, ho, let's get right. Getting paid.